There are 4 things that you must do after finding a charge-off on your credit report. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through my charge-off removal routine. So I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to give you my secret sauce. This works for me. Copy what you like. If you disagree with something, then simply don't do it, or ask me about it in the comments down below. I am at your service. I am here to help. Now let's start with this. Tell me if you feel the same way. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. I feel that checking your credit report can be a stressful day. You open your report, you see the account, you see the word charge-off, and I know the feeling. It's like, how is this still on my report? But sadly, as the months go by, you watch that charge-off sit there, hurt your approvals, and make it harder to get credit cards, auto loans, business funding, or even a simple personal loan. It's stressful. I know how it is. But this can be fixed. So first, I'm going to do you this favor. I won't insult your intelligence. You already know the things that you should be doing. Paying your bills on time, keeping your balances low, building positive credit history, not applying for too many accounts, checking your credit report. You already know this. I know that you know. But the credit system is confusing. Everything is reported differently. Every bureau shows different details. These old negative accounts keep popping up every month. It's never ending. So it's difficult to do all these things that you know you should be doing. I get that. Okay, so let me share with you my charge-off removal routine so you can see how I attack these accounts. And then I'm going to give you some practical tips. Okay, so you check your credit report. The charge-off is there. It's sitting on Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion. Now, a lot of these so-called credit experts on social media love to say, don't worry about charge-offs. They don't matter. I say that is wrong. So priority number 1, at least for me, is to understand what a charge-off actually is. A charge-off is a written-off debt that an original creditor had on your behalf. They either wrote it off on their taxes, sold it, or moved it to a collection agency. So when it comes to those big institutions, what they do is they write the debt off on their taxes, and they get a tax break when they do that. That normally creates what is called a charge-off. A charge-off is exactly what that is, a written-off piece of debt that you once owed an original creditor. They wrote it off on their taxes, and they usually send it off or sell it to another collection agency. So in a nutshell, that's what a charge-off is. Now, a lot of people say charge-offs don't hurt your score, or don't worry about charge-offs because they are old. That might be true in some situations, but it can still hurt your qualifications when it comes to underwriting. So when you want to get approved for a 2020 BMW, or you want to get a $15,000 credit card, or you want to get business funding, those charge-offs are going to come into effect when it comes to getting approved. Because underwriters hate charge-offs. It basically leaves a trail that you were in a bad position when it comes to big loans. So that's what a charge-off is. And that's why underwriters look at charge-offs seriously. Today, I'm going to give you the information to remove charge-offs from all 3 of your reports. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do, and this is for any type of debt, collections, charge-offs, anything negative, is look for errors. You have to understand, guys, everything on your credit report has to be 100% timely, 100% verifiable, and 100% accurate. So that means a letter, a number, a word, a sentence, an amount, a date. Everything on your credit report has to be 100% accurate. Okay, so making sure that you're looking at the dates, you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the name, you're looking at everything. Make sure everything is accurate and it fits the description of you. I cannot tell you how many people have so many inaccuracies on their credit report, and they never knew how to look for those inaccuracies. So those accounts just stay on the credit report for literally years. So priority number 1 is look for those inaccuracies and make sure everything is accurate on the report. Now, when you do this, your starting point will be your credit report. So we're talking about the full report from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. From here, you check the charge-off first. List out the account name. Write it down, please. List out the balance. List out the date opened. List out the last reported date. List out the payment history. List out the account number. List out the status. So I'm not talking about just glancing at the account and saying, oh, this looks bad. No, you need to investigate it. Listen, I trust that you can distinguish between an account that looks accurate and an account that looks suspicious. Now I look at the report and I see how many details are different between the bureaus. From here, we move on to priority number 2, which is the hardship letter. So after you understand the charge-off and look for errors, I set up the next move, which is a hardship letter. The hardship letter is basically you explaining your hardship to the credit bureaus or the company reporting the debt. You send a letter basically explaining your situation and asking them to remove, write off, or cancel the debt. A lot of hardship approval letters have been coming back from collection companies, and people have been getting debt removed because of real hardships. If you have been a person that suffered financially, whether because of COVID, health issues, job loss, family problems, or anything that affected your money, this may be a good time to use that information. Not saying it was a blessing that you went through it, but look at the glass half full and use that situation to explain why you could not satisfy this debt. So when you send the letter to the collection agency or the creditor, make sure you explain the hardship clearly. And here my advice is going to be the same. Make the letter realistic. Don't overdo it. Don't sound fake. Don't sound like a template. Make it sound like it came from you. If you are asking for the debt to be canceled, you can also ask them about a 1099-C and request that the debt be canceled entirely. Now listen carefully. The description is very important. The way you explain your hardship is very important. Adding the 1099-C request can be an important add-on when it comes to sending out your hardship letter. So if you are doing it organically, make sure that you are writing this stuff down and putting what I'm saying into your letter. Now let's move on to priority number 3. After checking for errors and after sending the hardship letter, I look at the statute of limitations. So this is when your hardship letter comes back and they say, we don't care about your hardship. We don't care about your situation. We still want our money. This is the next step. The next step is basically making sure the statute of limitations on that debt fits the criteria. I want you to go on Google and find out what the statute of limitations is for contracts or debts in your state. Every state is different. In some states, it is 7 years. In some states, it is 5. In some states, it is 6. So make sure that you know the statute of limitations for debt in your state. Now, once the statute of limitations is up for that debt, you may have a stronger argument to challenge it, especially if the account is still being reported inaccurately or being collected on in a way that does not fit the rules. Sometimes debts stay on there for 8, 9, or 10 years, and they don't remove it because you are not using the tools that are afforded to you by the FKIA to have those things removed. So make sure that you are looking for the statute of limitations. If the statute of limitations does not add up, I want you to send another letter telling them that the statute of limitations for this debt does not add up. And when you send out your statute of limitations letter, I want you to add this in the description. I did not get sued. I do not have a judgment on this debt, and I did not make a payment from the original date. Because when you make a payment to any type of old debt, you can potentially restart the clock. So if you have a 7-year statute of limitations debt and you pay on it in the 6th year, instead of waiting 1 more year for that debt to become less collectible, you might create a new problem for yourself. So you want to make sure that you are not randomly paying on old debt without understanding what you are doing, especially if the debt is old, because you might potentially hurt yourself by restarting the statute of limitations date completely. Now here's my priority number 4. If the error method does not work, the hardship method does not work, and the statute of limitations method does not work, then I go on defense. This is when you get a little bit gritty, so to speak, when it comes to fighting back with the credit bureaus. You dispute the debt. This is the last method, guys. You can use the verification method, or you can use a 609 style method. Both of them tend to work when it comes to this method. Now, when you send out a 609 letter, you cannot just send out a random template. Never use a basic template, guys. Always use original content that comes from you, that comes from your voice. The letter should sound like a real consumer wrote it, not an attorney, not a paralegal, not some copy and paste credit repair company. It needs to sound like you. Now, these are the things that I want you to request inside your 609 letter. Write this down because this is very important. Asking for these items is your legal right. The law basically says that if they are reporting this information, they need to be able to verify it. So the first thing I want you to ask for is the original contract. The original contract is the hard copy that you signed when you opened the account. It has your wet signature on it. That contract is very important. And if they cannot provide proof that connects you to the account, that becomes a problem for them. The second thing that I want you to ask for is a payoff disclosure. The payoff disclosure is usually part of the contract or account records, and they are supposed to have it. A lot of times, they don't have this information. And this is the tip. This is the sauce. They don't have this information a lot of times because everything is sold once they sell the debt to another company. It gets sold digitally, and a lot of times they don't have the full paper trail. But you want to ask for the payoff disclosure. You want to ask for the interest rate disclosure to prove the interest rate that was disclosed inside the loan. You want to ask for a balance history. You want to ask for your payment history for the debt. And you want to ask for the credit insurance. So you want to ask for those items. Like I said, I'm going to go back over it. Original contract, payoff disclosure, interest rate disclosure, balance history, payment history, and credit insurance. Once you ask for this stuff, a lot of times they do not have it. And if they cannot properly verify what they are reporting, then that account should not stay on your credit report as if everything is accurate. A lot of times, they just remove it. And I'm going to tell you why they remove it. Because they don't want to be responsible for paying someone to look up all this information. They are not in the business of giving money out or spending hours on your debt. They are in the business of receiving money from your debt. So if you're asking for all this information, it can take them hours and hours of work. They have to pay someone to do that. So a lot of times it's not worth it, and they just remove it. That is a very, very powerful way of getting charge-offs removed from your credit report completely. Now, sometimes they do have the information. And if they do, another way you can remove it is finally negotiating the debt. Some people just want to negotiate and be done with it. And in some cases, the debt can be negotiated down 40%, 50%, or even sometimes 60% because they bought it for pennies on the dollar. So they don't mind negotiating or giving wiggle room as long as they are getting some money on the back end. So those are the 4 things that I do after finding a charge-off on a credit report. Number 1, understand what a charge-off is and why underwriters hate it. Number 2, look for errors and send a hardship letter when it makes sense. Number 3, check the statute of limitations and make sure the debt is still being reported correctly. And number 4, dispute the debt and request the documents they need to prove the account. Now I want to bring up what so many people are thinking, but I don't know if I can remove this charge-off. Okay, so I'm glad we're bringing this up. First of all, the reality is that for the majority of people, charge-offs feel scary because they look serious. And yes, they are serious. But there's only so much damage you should allow one account to do before you actually investigate it. Some people don't even know who owns the debt. Some people don't know if the balance is right. Some people don't know if the dates match. Some people don't know if the account was sold. And the report still doesn't make sense. If you're in this situation, here are 2 pieces of advice. I hope this helps you out. So, number 1, people are overly fixated on their score and they neglect the details on the report. So, what is the end goal? It's to clean the report, right? Better credit coming in than negative items going out. So, only watching your score can only take you so far because at a certain point, you have to look at what is actually causing the damage. Just like how you're mindful of your score, you need to also be mindful of the account details. It's going to be like in sports. You can't just focus entirely on the scoreboard. You have to actually play the game. There are going to be so many gurus on social media that will lecture you about just wait 7 years or just pay everything or just ignore charge-offs. Listen, I'm not going to regurgitate that crap. If that advice does not fit your situation, I'm not going to make you feel bad about not doing it. And I'm going to share with you one piece of advice that is practical and will give you the best bang for your buck in terms of your efforts and reward. My advice to you is pull your full credit report and audit the charge-off line by line. And hear me out. The best time to fight the account is when you understand the account. So find yourself the errors. That's what I'm saying. Do you know when the worst time to dispute is? It's when you are emotional, confused, and just sending letters without knowing what you're challenging. Because you will be desperate and you will settle for a weak dispute. And that's not a good look. Just think about it. If you already know the account name, balance, date opened, last reported date, payment history, and bureau differences, you have nothing to lose. You can send a stronger dispute. You can sound more confident. You can ask for specific proof. And if they cannot verify it, then the joke is going to be on them because you already did your homework. And if they do verify it, then you can still move to the next step, whether that is another dispute, a CFPB complaint, a hardship request, or negotiation. Another way to play this is to use their response as leverage. So you're basically saying you verified this account, but these details still do not match. Prove it or remove it. So with that being said, how proactive have you been about finding the errors on your credit report? How much time have you spent looking at the dates? How current is your credit report? How many charge-offs have you actually reviewed line by line last month? People spend more time casually looking at cars online or vacations to take, and they spend no time looking at the credit report that is blocking them from getting approved. So you should be more proactive here. I'm telling you, this is going to give you the best bang for your buck in terms of effort, time, and results. My piece of advice number 2 is to analyze your credit report. So do the credit audit thing. Write out your negative accounts and your account details. See where your biggest credit leaks are. Trust me, this is going to be a game changer. I'll tell you this is like a secret that you'll stumble upon once you do this. It's usually one category that is out of control. That is your credit pit. So it could be charge-offs, it could be collections, it could be late payments, it could be high utilization, it could be inquiries. Maybe it's one old account that keeps updating every month. Maybe it's one creditor reporting differently on all 3 bureaus. Trust me, write down your accounts on a spreadsheet. You will see that it's one category that is killing you, a black hole that sucks your approvals, and much more than you thought. You're going to be shocked at your own report when you see the details clearly. And why am I saying it's going to be one category in specific? It's because that's usually how credit damage works. So I want to share this observation with you. Let's say you have a person with a decent credit score. I'm not talking about someone with perfect credit. I'm not talking about someone with terrible credit. But let's just say someone is sitting in the mid 600s or low 700s. You're going to notice that this person is usually being held back by 1 or 2 categories in their credit file. Let me explain. A person will not always have bad payment history, maxed out cards, 10 collections, charge-offs, inquiries, and bankruptcies all at the same time. No, that's not always how it is. It's usually just 1 or 2 categories where the damage is outrageous. For example, someone might have perfect payment history, but 2 charge-offs are killing their underwriting. Someone else might have no charge-offs, but their utilization is too high. Someone else might have low utilization, but 3 old collections are sitting there. Someone else might have a clean file, except 1 late payment that keeps dragging the score down. It doesn't matter if you make little money, good money, or somewhere in between. Relatively speaking, you are probably being hurt by 1 or 2 categories more than anything else. And that is draining your credit power. If you're looking to fix your credit leaks, you have to first identify how bad the problem is. So if you think sometimes, I don't know why I keep getting denied, then you really have to write out your credit report. I want you to investigate what is going on with your credit, and I want to see you make improvements. If you want to remove charge-offs from your credit report in any way, form, or fashion, I guarantee you, if you follow these steps, you will have a much better chance of getting success. Again, guys, remember to check the link in the description below and start the process. It can save you and your family tons of money in interest, and it can give you the experience and education you need to be successful long term. Until next time, take care of your credit and take care of yourself.